Howdy! Welcome to Aspire Mountain Academy. I'm Professor Curtis, your instructor for this course in Introductory Statistics. In less than 10 minutes, this video describes the part played by the fundamental counting rule and factorials in calculating probability. Let's get started. So, as you've noticed, when we're calculating probability, it's basically taking the part that we're looking for and dividing it by the whole. But for many problems, finding that whole can be a real challenge because that whole turns out to be a really big number. So what we're going to start talking about now are a few methods for finding those big numbers that we could get at instead of actually listing out every possibility in the sample space and then counting the possibilities. There are some shortcut ways to get to those really bigger numbers. So that's what we're going to start talking about now. And first up, what we have are some special rules. The first of all is the fundamental counting rule. You can see the definition here on the screen. And when you read it, it's really not going to be much different from what we've seen from the multiplication rule. And that's essentially what this is. So you've got two events that are in sequence. The one occurs and the second occurs. Well, that's just the multiplication rule. We're just going to take the number of ways they can occur and multiply them together. So again, like we saw with confusion of the inverse, I have no idea why these academics have to categorize and name everything. But there it is. Okay. So your fundamental counting rule is just basically rehash of the multiplication rule. And then you have what's called the factorial rule. And factorials are really useful in certain situations. So if you have a number of different permutations, and we'll talk about permutations in a soon to come mini lecture, it's just right around the corner, so don't worry about that. But you've got n different items and you can arrange them. You're usually taking them one at a time. So when all of them are then selected one at a time, the factorial is just basically an extension of what we see with the fundamental counting rule, which is just a rehash of the multiplication rule. So you're selecting the first item in different ways, the second item in one different ways, until you've got nothing left. So what you end up with is a string of numbers being multiplied together. And the shortcut notation for that mathematically is the exclamation point. This is what we call the factorial symbol. And as an example of what we're talking about here, 4 factorial would be 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So we've got something that can be selected 4 different ways. So we've got the first selection is we've got 4 different ways that we select it. We make one selection. Now there's 3 ways that are left. So the second selection, there's only 3 ways to choose from, so on and so forth. So again, you can see this is an extension of the multiplication rule. We multiply all that together, and that gives us our final answer for the whole part that we're looking for on the bottom of our probability fraction. By special definition, 0 factorial is equal to 1. That's just the way it's set up. So let's look at an example here to illustrate how this factorial can be used. Let's say there's a history teacher who gives a pop quiz to his students, and the quiz asks the students to arrange the following U.S. presidents in chronological order. You can see 6 of those gentlemen listed there. Now, some of you are probably looking at these names and thinking, well, you might recognize 1 or 2 of them, but some of these are going to be presidents that most people don't know much about. So let's say we have an unprepared student who's you don't know anything, right? You're completely unprepared for this. So you're totally going to guess what your answers are. What's the probability that this unprepared student guesses correctly? Well, the possible arrangements, okay, are listed here. So for the first selection that we have, we've got 6 names to choose from. So there's 6 possibilities. Then for the second selection, we've already chosen 1, so there's 1 less. So we've got 5 names to choose from. For the third, we've got 1 less, so there's 4 names to choose from, so on and so forth, till we list all 6. So the total number of possible arrangements is just 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is 6 factorial, and that equals 720. So then the probability of guessing correctly is 1, that's the part, there's only one guess that's being made, over the whole, which is 720, that's the total number of possible arrangements. You divide that out and you get a number that's less than 1%, actually about 1/10 of 1%. So your odds of guessing correctly without knowing anything about any of the presidents, not very good. Now, let's say that this student recognizes that Taft is the only member of the list who was in office during the 20th century, and the rest of them are 19th century presidents. So now what is the probability of guessing the list correctly? We've got one little piece of information to help us. How does that change the probability? Well, the possible arrangements are now reduced to 120, okay? Because you know Taft is in the 20th century, you know he's going to come last. So that first selection that you make, you've got 5 names to choose from. Then for the second selection, you've got 4 names to choose from. And so it goes down the line until you get to the last one, and you know what that is. You've got only the one to choose from, which is Taft. So you multiply all this together, it's the same as 5 factorial, or 120. So now we've got a new whole to put into our probability calculation. The part is still the same. We're making one guess, but now the whole has changed. It's 120. And you can see the difference there. Now we're still below 1%, but now we're at 0.8 of 1%. So you can see what happens with knowing just that one piece of information. You've increased the probability of guessing correct by 8 times. Is it important to study and know what you can know? Yeah, it's really important to know what you can know from studying. And that brings us to the end of this mini lecture. I hope you found it helpful. You can find more mini lectures for this and other courses at AspireMountainAcademy.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.